Who is the king of battery life among the best flagship phones of the year? From left to right, we have the Vivo X200 Ultra, OnePlus 13, iPhone 17 Pro Max, Pixel 10 Pro XL, Galaxy S25 Ultra, and Xperia 1 Mark 7. I put all phones on the same brightness level using a lux meter, and they are all connected to the same Wi-Fi network throughout the test. The Vivo X200 Ultra and OnePlus 13 have 6000 mAh batteries, while the other phones have around 5000 mAh. The iPhone that I'm using is the nano SIM card version, and the OnePlus is also the Chinese variant with a larger battery size. For the first test, I'm running a YouTube stream while comments are being shown. All phones have 120Hz displays, but with variable refresh rate. The OLED displays are very power efficient, therefore, the YouTube test does not consume much power. I ran this test for 4 hours, and by the end of it, the iPhone 17 Pro Max and Vivo were above 80%, while the other phones were all around 10% lower. For the next test, I ran the camera on 4K and 30 frames per second. The phones look different in brightness since some are exposing the video more than the others. Taking a video is a more demanding task, especially since the phones have to work extra to not only capture, but also process the video. I ran this part of the test for around an hour, and by the end of it, the Vivo X200 Ultra is now on top with 68%, iPhone 17 Pro Max is following with only 1% lower at 67%, and Pixel 10 Pro XL is the lowest with only 51% left. After this, I decided to run Google Meet on all phones. This is one of the heaviest tests you can do for battery life, since not only are you using the camera, but also the media needs to be uploaded, downloaded, encoded, and decoded. I ran this part of the test for 2 hours, and now iPhone got its first place back from Vivo. The OnePlus 13 and Xperia 1 Mark 7 are at the same percentage despite the fact that the OnePlus has a 20% larger battery capacity. Pixel is the lowest here. After this test, I ran YouTube in the background while the phones continued to talk to each other over Google Meets. After a bit, when I saw the Pixel 10 Pro XL was almost dying, I switched back to Google Meet to see phones leaving the chat one by one. Just a caveat about these tests, the results can vary based on the conditions. For example, in a day in the life test that I've done, Pixel did beat the Galaxy, but that test had different conditions and was on the 5G connection. In this test, the Pixel was the first phone to go though, and the phone left the chat at 8 hours and 9 minutes. This is not a bad result, but also not great either if you look at the iPhone, it's still having 27% left. The second phone to leave the chat was a Galaxy S25 Ultra. It left the chat after 8 hours and 26 minutes. Just as a note, none of these phones are my personal phones, and they don't have more than 10 charging cycles, so the battery degradation should be negligible. It does seem the only way for Android phones to stay competitive against iPhone with a new chipset and large battery capacity is to increase their battery capacity like how the Chinese phones did it. It is also very interesting to see that the Xperia 1 Mark 7 is ahead compared to OnePlus 13 despite having 1000 mAh less battery. I had Xperia phones for many years and always enjoyed the battery life and longevity of the battery with the battery care features. After 9 hours and 17 minutes, the OnePlus 13 also left the chat while Xperia still had 1% left. Only a few minutes later, at 9 hours and 23 minutes, the Xperia also left the chat, and now the final battle is between the Vivo X200 Ultra and iPhone. Generally, Vivo X200 Ultra is the most impressive flagship of the year for me. The battery life is really great, and the camera is insanely good. It's a bit sad that there is no international version. I put the link of where I bought it from in the description. The Vivo was the next phone to leave the chat at 9 hours and 53 minutes, showing the new iPhone is unmatched in the Android world, and we should wait for the new wave of Chinese phones with their massive 7500 mAh batteries, like the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max, to beat the iPhone. The iPhone left the chat after 10 hours and 7 minutes, an insane battery life for a conventional flagship phone. And it did achieve this while having the smallest battery capacity among all the phones on this table. If you look at the results, the iPhone is first, Vivo is second, and the third is Xperia, which is very impressive. OnePlus, Galaxy, and Pixel are next. If you also want to see how the smaller version of these flagship phones compare in terms of battery life, you can see this video next. Thanks for tuning into Tech Mo, and I will see you in the next one.